Have you ever wondered what it'd be like to stand in front of a special place that you've only dreamed about, heard about, read about your entire life, and you finally get to do it? Well, we just did it.
And wow, did it live up to expectations,
Oh
didn't
man,
it?
did it ever. We are on our way to
Mount Rushmore.
Wow, we're so excited.
Finally.
Sorry, Mom.
Hi, I'm Dan.
I'm Dina, and we are Reverse to Ridges RV.
Dina and I finally got a chance to go to Mount Rushmore, and we were so excited. If you're like us, you know, we grew up as kids, history classes, just watching TV, watching the 4th of July fireworks over Mount Rushmore.
It's a big part of American history.
It's a part of American history, and it's honestly, it's just kind of one of those places that we both just wanted to see.
Yeah.
It's a special place.
Definitely.
We finally got a chance to see it, and I can't tell you, honestly, when we first came around the corner and you look up and you see that the monument or the memorial,
yeah,
the feelings, right?
Yeah, I've got goosebumps now just talking about
I thought it was just me, but yeah, it was.
We jumped out of the car. We're taking pictures before we even got our stuff out of the car and got over to the park.
It was pretty amazing. We finally made it. We're at Mount Rushmore.
So excited.
It's about 6 o'clock. We're here they're having a 8 o'clock lighting. We're going to try to see that. Hopefully you can see it behind us. It's up there somewhere. There's like 4 guys up there.
4 guys.
4 guys. 4 old guys. We're going to go see. We're pretty excited. I'll tell you, when we kind of come around the corner and you see it for the first time, it was pretty amazing.
You got
right?
goosies, honey.
Yeah,
you did too.
It was pretty neat. So we're excited. We're gonna go jump inside and go see what's going on. Before we get into Mount Rushmore, we want to talk about the history, some of the stuff that the park has to offer, some of the things that we did. We had a special occasion that night. One of the nights we were there, we stayed, we'll talk about this in a little bit, for the closing ceremony where they light up the mountain. Something happened to us that night.
Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
And this
is only
never happen again.
We couldn't plan for that to happen.
This isn't really a teaser, but I want you to stick around. Towards the end, we're going to show you some video that I don't know if anybody else has this video. It was actually pretty cool. Getting back to Mount Rushmore, as soon as we come around the corner again, the feelings. But one of the very first things that kind of caught us off guard, I guess, a little bit, was parking.
Yeah, it was
They do parking a little bit different. It's just something to be aware of. It's no big deal. And maybe they do it like this in other places. I just know we've never seen this before.
Right.
When you park at the Mount Rushmore parking garage, what you're going to do is you're going to get a ticket, a parking ticket. Now, normally, right, you would hang on to it or put it in your window or something like that, so you know that you paid for parking. You'd pay for it right then, but you don't. You actually take that ticket up to the visitor center area where the cafes and everything else is at. You have to find a kiosk, pay for the parking up there, and then you just keep the ticket with you. You'll use that same ticket when you leave. You'll put it in
the parking garage.
Yeah, you'll put it in one of those little machines, and the gate will go up, and you go out. So it's just a little bit different.
Yeah, and supposedly the parking ticket is good for 1 year.
Yeah, don't do what we did.
Don't do what we did. We paid every time we went to the park.
Yeah, we
didn't realize that it was. Yeah.
We went once. The first time we got there was late. We went for the closing ceremony, and then the next time we went there for a little hike and some more rounds. We ended up paying twice, but apparently they're good for a year.
It's definitely worth it, but still, just to know before you go.
Yeah. Now the park, there's really no entrance fee to get into the park. There's only the parking fee, which was only $10, I believe. Right. So it's really cheap to go there. The memorial does have it's called an Avenue of Flags.
Avenue of Flags.
When you first arrive,
that was another goosebumper.
Yeah, definitely. You're looking through an avenue of flags, and then of all the state flags, right? And then behind that you have Mount Rushmore. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. Now, if you think that's pretty cool, do that at nighttime when they light up the mountain. Yeah. That was pretty neat as well. All right, I know we're dark. You can't see us, but you can see Mount Rushmore. Those aren't tans. It's just bad lighting. But that was a pretty cool ceremony.
Those aren't what?
Those aren't tans. We're not tan. Those are just bad lighting.
Oh my gosh. We need to go home.
We do. It's late. They do have this place called Avenue of Flags, which does lead out to the mountain. They have an amphitheater there, and that's where they'll have closing ceremonies in the evening. That's where everybody goes and sit down. They'll do a little presentation.
Right.
They'll lower the flag as well. So that's all part of the closing ceremony. They have a cafe.
Yep.
Right? They have a museum.
The sculptor built a model of the presidency to serve as a guide. Every inch on the model represented 1 foot on the mountain. Year after year, Borglum and his crew hung perilously off the side of the mountain, drilling and blasting their way to reach granite solid enough for carving. It took 14 years and nearly $1 million to complete the 4 60-foot faces.
The museum is definitely worth it. The exhibits is definitely
Take your
worth
time and go through it. Don't rush through it.
Yeah.
And they have a couple theaters to watch a movie.
It's definitely
Very
worth it. If you're there, you got to do it.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, something else that surprised us a little bit, dogs.
Yeah.
Dogs are not allowed once you get like up to the Avenue of Flags or up to basically the entrance, if you want to think of it like that.
Oh, it's before the Avenue of Flags.
Yeah,
It's
you can't even
before,
get to
right.
it. Dogs are not allowed,
Information center.
so they're really only allowed in the parking area and the surrounding areas as well. So
Yeah.
just be prepared. You're not going to be able to walk your dog
No.
through the memorial. You know, most places you can't have them on a hiking trail, but this one they're not allowed at
No.
all. So that's the basic park. It's pretty nice just for walking around.
It's a beautiful park.
It really, really is. You can probably do everything in a half a day.
Yeah.
If you wanted to. You could do a lot more if you want, but half a day is
Yeah.
probably plenty of time. And now for a history lesson. I feel like we had one of those old reels going in high school.
Oh boy, you're showing your age.
Yeah,
honey.
I am. The Mount Rushmore Memorial is actually in the Black Hills of South Dakota, just outside of Keystone, South Dakota. And this is really, if you kind of going back into history, this is really ancient Indian, sacred Indian land. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, we actually did a video not that long ago on the Battle of the Little Bighorn.
Yeah.
And it kind of covers what was going on in that area at the time or
history of it.
before that. So if you're interested, after this video, go check out our Battle of the Little Bighorn
For
videos.
more history.
For more history, yeah. There'll be a test too. But the memorial's in the Black Hills of South Dakota, and honestly it was started as a way to get tourism into the area.
Right.
So in 1923 the whole concept came about for tourism. Now it did take hold. The senator at the time went to Congress, got funding for the project, and
Right.
they did get federal funding for the monument. So that's what got this whole thing started.
Right. So then from 1927 to 1941, sculptor Gutzon Borglum and his son Lincoln designed and managed the project. And then unfortunately, Gutzon Borglum passed away in 1941 before it was finished, and his son took over from there.
Now, something else we didn't know at the time either was this whole statue or the whole monument was originally going to be from the presidents from the waist down.
No. From
Oh
the-
yeah, waist up. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to see the president from the waist down, I'm sure.
That's funny.
Anyways,
Yeah. That's a whole different story.
that's a different monument.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Well, I can't even talk now. From the waist up. But they actually ran out of funding, so they had to kind of shorten it up. If you've ever
Yeah.
been there, you've seen pictures, you know it's more from the chest up for them.
Yep.
Now, the 4 presidents, their heads were finished. The sculpture was finished between 1934 and 1939. And each head is roughly 60 feet tall, which is pretty amazing as well. Something else I thought was very, very interesting. We never knew this, even listening about Mount Rushmore our whole lives and know about it. But why those 4 presidents? Why these 4? And what do they really represent? And I'm going to have to read it because I'm not going to remember this. But George Washington.
Well, the sculptor Gutzon Borglum is the one who decided it would be the presidents.
And they all had a special meaning.
Special meaning.
Right. So George Washington, the founder of the country, represents the nation's birth. That makes total sense,
Yes,
right?
right.
We have Thomas Jefferson
Yep.
for growth. Remember, he expanded the United States out west.
Right.
Theodore Roosevelt is development, and a lot of that is, again, industrial age and national parks as well,
Right.
and all that. Then you have President Lincoln, and that's for preservation, and that's preservation of the country.
Right.
Think Civil War. So that's why the 4 presidents, and that's what they represent. And I thought that was kind of neat. It has a little bit more meaning to the monument itself. Now, currently, as of 2022, there's a roughly 2 million visitors go to the monument every year. So it's pretty neat.
That is very cool.
There is one hike that we did.
It's inside the park. It's right there behind the amphitheater.
Yeah, and it's kind of a nice little hike. It's only 0.9, just under a mile long, and it's called the President's Loop.
Trail
Loop. President's Trail Loop. And if you ever watched one of the National Treasure movies and you saw this is the stairs they were all on.
Yeah.
But it's a nice little hike. It's, again, just shy of a mile. It kind of starts in the center of the park or by the amphitheater. It makes a big circle, basically. But it gets you as close as you can get to the mountain and to the presidents. And yeah, some awesome views.
Awesome.
Now there is something pretty special, I thought. I've never heard of this until a friend of ours, and actually another fellow RVer, told us about it. He said, make sure you go for the closing ceremony.
Yes.
Never heard of it. But what it is basically, it's extremely patriotic.
Yes, it's every May through September.
Right.
Just before the
Friday before Memorial
Day weekend
through
September 30th.
They do this closing ceremony, and part of it is when they light up the mountain. It's very patriotic.
Oh,
they had
so
one ranger who would come out on stage, gave a little presentation, talk a little bit. They actually had everybody sing
songs,
songs. God Bless America, and I think another song.
This land is your land.
That's right. This land is your land. That's my land.
You don't have to sing that.
So it was very, very patriotic, very nice, very done respectfully, I think. And then at part of the end of the ceremony, what they do is they lower the American flag. Now this was really pretty neat too. I thought it was kind of special. But they ask military, veterans, veterans family, if you lost a serviceman or
first responders,
service member,
I think, too.
And maybe even first responders. They ask anybody in the crowd who is in those categories to come up on stage and help them lower the flag. So it was pretty touching.
He got to go.
I got to go upstairs. I'm on the far left. I think I have my Rivers of Riches shirt on.
I think you did.
Anyways, it's done up very, very well.
Nice.
Very respectful. It's kind of neat to see all the veterans up there, some of their families.
Honorable.
Everybody else in the audience, I think, clapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was neat.
It was
cool.
really.
We're still waiting. It's almost 8 o'clock. 10 more minutes. Yeah, very patriotic music, but we're still waiting. We've been sitting for an hour.
Are you ready? All right. Again, let's hear you nice and loud. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the River Islands.
Blah, blah, blah.
The United States of America. It's hard to imagine, but not long ago, this great land of ours was pure wilderness. A place where millions of bison roamed freely throughout the plains.
Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude our ceremony, most of these men and women have never met each other, and yet tonight they are bounded together on stage. For most, this is the only public recognition that they will ever receive for their willingness to serve. As they get ready to rejoin their families, let's show them how we feel about them with another round of heartfelt applause. Thank you everybody for coming to Mount Rushmore. Thank you for your service. We can't give you enough gratitude for what you've done for us.
And now, as promised, drum roll. When we were leaving Mount Rushmore, you're still right pretty much in the park, but there's a little pull off as you're leaving, and you can kind of get a glimpse of the side of George Washington.
His whole profile,
and
it's lit up. It's all lit up. From
We
the
had
the
black,
ceremony.
yeah, we had a black sky, no moon, and all you can see when you look up is the profile of George Washington. That alone was pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of cars stopped there, a lot of them looking at it, oohing and awing. It was really cool. All of a sudden, luckily for us, we were videoing George Washington, and I don't know if it was Dina or somebody else said, "What's that in the sky?"
A guy standing behind me.
What is that in the sky? What is that? What is that?
And I was like, "What is that?"
And what it was, and we got this on film. It's going to be hard to see, but hopefully you may have to rewind a couple times, but you will see it. So as we're filming George Washington, we have a whole streak of satellites go right over the top of his head.
Yeah.
And what it is, if you're not aware of it, it's SpaceX Starlink.
Yeah.
So we found out later that SpaceX launched these satellites the night before.
Yeah.
And it just so happened, right when we were there, right when we were filming,
over George Washington's
right over
head.
George Washington's head, you have a whole string of probably 50 or 60 satellites light up the sky and go right over his head.
Unbelievable.
So we're going to show you that as well. Again, it's going to be kind of hard to see. You may have to slow the video down a little bit or something, but it was really, really cool. I don't think anybody's ever going to see that again.
No,
so,
I'll never forget that. That was pretty amazing.
That was pretty cool.
If I can see it. Oh, these damn lights are killing us. Right above Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's SpaceX.
I just asked you, like, what is that? Oh, it must be from the light showing on it.
No. Right behind the...
Oh my gosh. Did you get video?
I'm trying to video. I don't know if it's going to come out or not.
We hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you ever get a chance to go to Mount Rushmore, go. It is so worth the trip. It's just so humbling.
It is. It is.
We hope you have a great week. Stay safe, safe travels, and God bless.
Remember, always live life to the fullest.
See you next week.